Description: the dream of traveling beyond Earth is no longer just science fiction. But when will ordinary people be able to afford a trip to the stars? Journey into a speculative future where space tourism evolves from a luxury for the elite to a dream within reach for millions. Chapter 1. The Billionaire's Dream. In 2045, the night sky glittered with more than just stars. Satellite constellations, orbital hotels, and the soft hum of space elevators spoke of humanity's deepening bond with the cosmos. For average citizens, however, space tourism remained a shimmering mirage, something for billionaires and movie stars, not everyday families. Maya Rodriguez sat in her cramped studio apartment in Mexico City, her tablet glowing with news of the latest affordable spaceflight. Affordable, she thought bitterly, meant $100,000 a ticket. Far beyond her reach as a freelance architect juggling projects and rising living costs. Her sister Rosa, ever the optimist, chimed in over a video call. It's like planes in the 1920s. Remember? Only the rich could fly, and now everyone can. Just wait. But Maya wasn't convinced. She scrolled through the history of space tourism. 2030, the first commercial space hotel opened by Orbital Horizons. 2035, SpaceX pioneered mass reusable rockets, slashing costs by half. 2040, Earth-to-Moon tours became the rage among influencers and CEOs. Despite progress, the average ticket price hadn't dropped below $50,000. Maya sighed. Could someone like her ever afford such an adventure? Then her tablet pinged with a job alert, architect needed for lunar outpost project. A wild idea sparked in her mind. If she couldn't buy a ticket, maybe she could earn one. Chapter 2. The Great Leap. Maya applied on a whim, never expecting a callback. Yet 2 weeks later, she found herself on a video call with representatives from Astrolese, a cutting-edge space construction firm. A mess. Rodriguez, a sleek woman in a black suit, began, "We're impressed with your sustainable designs. Tell us, how do you envision building for the moon?" Maya leaned forward, heart pounding. "The key is using in-situ resources," she said, summoning every scrap of research she'd ever read. Regolith-based 3D printing, solar energy grids, and modular habitats to withstand radiation and microgravity. Her passion and technical grasp won her the position. Weeks later, Maya found herself undergoing intense training in Houston, learning to adapt her skills to a zero-gravity environment. But even amid the thrill, a nagging question loomed. Why wasn't space tourism progressing faster for ordinary people? During breaks, Maya spoke with engineers and executives who all cited the same challenges. Safety regulations kept costs high. Fuel remained expensive despite advancements. Public demand wasn't enough to sustain lower prices. One night, she shared her frustration with a fellow trainee, Arun Patel, a propulsion specialist. "We can build lunar colonies but can't make space trips affordable? How is that fair?" Arun chuckled. "It's not fair. But I've got a theory. The key to affordability isn't just reusability, it's scale. When millions want to go, the prices will fall." His words stuck with Maya. Could her work on the moon be a step toward making space accessible for all? Chapter 3. The Moon Beckons. Maya's first glimpse of Earth from space was through the porthole of the Hermes transport shuttle. It was mesmerizing, a swirl of blues, whites, and greens framed by the inky blackness of space. She couldn't tear her eyes away, even as her ears caught the hum of the engines and the occasional chatter of her fellow passengers. Among them were scientists, engineers, and technicians, all vital to constructing the Lunar Outpost 3. Maya felt like an imposter, a small-time architect thrust into humanity's boldest venture. But doubt couldn't silence the exhilaration in her chest. As the shuttle docked at the orbital hub, a rotating space station that served as a gateway to the moon, Maya noticed something remarkable. Docked alongside their shuttle was a larger passenger spacecraft emblazoned with the logo of Celestial Horizons, a luxury space tourism company. During orientation, she learned the details. Celestial Horizons had partnered with Astralease to ferry paying tourists on a lunar experience package. For $250,000, passengers could orbit the moon and spend 2 nights in a space hotel. It was a world apart from her reality, but it gave her hope. Perhaps Arun was right, scale and innovation could drive prices down. Watching the tourists, dressed in sleek spacesuits and grinning for photos, Maya thought, if they can make this possible, why not a $10,000 ticket in 20 years? Or $1,000 in 50? Chapter 4. A bold proposal. Life on the moon was harder than Maya had imagined. Lunar gravity, 1/6 that of Earth, threw off her balance during her first few weeks. The constant need for protective suits, the limited food options, and the isolation from loved ones weighed on her. Yet she thrived in her work. Her designs for modular habitats, built with 3D printed lunar regolith, began taking shape. By the end of her first year, Lunar Outpost 3 had expanded significantly, with 6 interconnected domes serving as living quarters, laboratories, and greenhouses. Her contributions earned her respect among her peers and the attention of Astralease executives. One day, during a routine meeting, she made her pitch. "We've proven we can build sustainable habitats here," Maya began, addressing the company's leadership via video call from her lunar station. But why stop at outposts for researchers? Why not create an affordable space tourism hub here on the moon? The executives exchanged skeptical glances. One of them, a seasoned engineer named Dr. Hayes, leaned forward. "Maya, do you have any idea how much that would cost?" "Yes," Maya replied confidently. "But hear me out. What if we use the same technology we're using for these habitats? 3D printing, solar power, modular systems. We could reduce costs by leveraging everything we've learned." She explained her vision: compact lunar domes for tourists, budget packages combining training and lunar walks, and partnerships with Earth-based companies to fund development. To her surprise, the executives listened. Dr. Hayes finally nodded. "It's ambitious, but we'll consider a feasibility study. Don't get your hopes up." Maya's hopes, however, soared. For the first time, she felt her work could contribute directly to making space accessible, not just for the ultra-rich, but for dreamers like her sister Rosa. Chapter 5. The Feasibility Gamble. Maya threw herself into the feasibility study with unrelenting passion. Every night, she pored over data, refining her plans for a lunar tourism hub. She envisioned a facility that balanced luxury and sustainability, compact but comfortable domes, a dining hall with hydroponic-grown vegetables, and guided lunar treks using state-of-the-art rovers. Dr. Hayes, initially skeptical, began to warm to the idea. "We'll call it Project Selene," he said during one meeting. "But don't get too excited. If the numbers don't work, this gets shelved." The biggest challenge was reducing costs. Maya's team brainstormed solutions, leverage existing infrastructure. Repurposing parts of Lunar Outpost 3 for tourism would minimize the need for new construction. Automated construction. Advanced robotics could handle much of the building, reducing the need for human labor. Fuel efficiency. Partnering with propulsion experts to find cheaper methods for transporting tourists was critical. As weeks turned into months, the project gained momentum. Reports showed that with enough investment and a steady flow of tourists, Project Selene could break even within 10 years. The tipping point came when Astralease CEO Elena Park visited the moon. As Maya gave her a tour of the completed habitats, she couldn't help but mention the project. "Ms. Park," Maya said, struggling to keep her nerves in check, "imagine the first family setting foot here. A kid's first step on another world. Isn't that worth investing in?" Elena smiled, her eyes gleaming with possibility. "I like your vision, Maya. Let's make it happen." Chapter 6. Countdown to Change. 3 years later, in 2048, Project Selene became a reality. Maya stood on the moon's surface, watching as the first tourist shuttle approached. Its sleek frame gleamed against the black void, carrying 12 passengers, scientists, dreamers, and even a retired teacher who had saved for years to afford her ticket. Astralis had partnered with Celestial Horizons to offer subsidized packages for education and outreach. The teacher, Mr. Kumar, represented one of their new programs designed to inspire students back on Earth. As the passengers disembarked, Maya felt an unexpected wave of emotion. She greeted them with a warm smile, feeling both proud and humbled. "Welcome to Selene Base," she said, gesturing toward the domes behind her. "You're standing on humanity's next frontier." The tourist's itinerary included a guided rover tour, a simulated lunar construction workshop, and a chance to collect small rocks to take home as souvenirs. Though it wasn't a luxury experience, the visitors were ecstatic. By the end of the week, the tourists departed, leaving behind glowing reviews and photos that went viral on Earth. Soon, demand for the lunar experience surged. Astralis announced plans to expand Selene Base, adding more domes and even a low-gravity sports arena. For Maya, the success was bittersweet. Her work on the moon was done, and she prepared to return to Earth. But as she gazed at the distant blue planet, she knew her dream had only just begun. Chapter 7. The Return Home. Maya's return to Earth was as overwhelming as her departure. After years on the moon, Earth's gravity felt oppressive, its air heavy and full of scents she had forgotten: flowers, rain, and bustling city life. She stood on the tarmac of the Astralis spaceport, blinking at the vibrant blue sky. A crowd of reporters awaited her. Her role in Project Selene had turned her into an unexpected celebrity. The moment she stepped out of the capsule, microphones and cameras surrounded her. "Ms. Rodriguez, how does it feel to have changed the future of space tourism?" one asked. Maya hesitated. "I didn't do it alone," she said, her voice steady but modest. "This was the work of thousands of people. I was just one piece of the puzzle." Still, the questions kept coming. "What's next for you? Do you think lunar tourism will ever be affordable for middle-class families?" Maya paused at that one. "It's a start," she said. "But we have a long way to go before the stars are within reach for everyone." Chapter 8. The Power of Dreams. Back in Mexico City, Maya tried to settle into her old life. Her modest apartment, once a refuge, now felt stifling. The endless sky outside her window seemed almost mocking, an infinite expanse she had tasted but couldn't fully embrace. Her sister Rosa greeted her with a mixture of pride and teasing. "So, Ms. Lunar Pioneer, what's next? Designing Mars hotels?" Maya laughed. "One step at a time. First, I need to figure out how to make space even cheaper. What's the point of all this if only the rich can afford it?" Over dinner, Rosa shared news of a new initiative inspired by Project Selene, Earth-based training programs for future tourists. For $5,000, participants could undergo a simulated lunar experience, including VR-based moonwalks and a week in a mock lunar habitat. "People are lining up for it," Rosa said. "You've sparked something huge, Maya." Maya nodded, feeling a swell of hope. The demand was growing, and with it, the pressure to innovate further. Her mind raced with possibilities: asteroid mining initiatives to lower material costs, more fuel-efficient rockets, and better international cooperation. That night, she stared at the moon through her bedroom window, a familiar sense of longing tugging at her. "We'll get there," she whispered to herself. "Someday, everyone will have a chance to see you up close." Chapter 9. The Next Frontier. Maya's return to Earth did little to slow her momentum. Within months, she had joined a global coalition of engineers, economists, and policymakers committed to making space tourism truly affordable. Dubbed the Cosmos for All initiative, the coalition sought to tackle the core barriers still keeping average people from reaching space. During one meeting in Geneva, Maya presented an ambitious plan. "We've made incredible strides," she began, standing before a room of industry leaders. But the only way to bring costs down is through mass accessibility. If we can't make space travel appealing to billions of people, not just thousands, this dream will remain out of reach. Her plan had 3 key pillars: global rocket subsidies, partnering with governments to subsidize launches for civilians, similar to early commercial aviation models. Spaceports everywhere, building affordable launch infrastructure in developing nations to expand access beyond wealthy countries. Orbital habitats for all, modular, low-cost orbital stations that could host tourists for short stays at a fraction of current prices. The coalition was skeptical. One representative, a French economist, raised a hand. Even with these measures, costs will still be prohibitive for most of the world's population. How do you address that? Maya took a deep breath. By creating a ripple effect, she replied. If we start with subsidies and expand access, public demand will rise. Private companies will compete and innovation will follow. It's a cycle, and it starts with us. Her passion won over the room. Within weeks, governments pledged billions in funding for space tourism infrastructure, and private companies scrambled to adapt their models to a future of mass space travel. Chapter 10. The People's Launch. In 2052, the first People's Launch was announced. For just $5,000, participants could book a suborbital flight aboard the Astra 1, a newly designed reusable spacecraft built specifically for affordability. Maya attended the inaugural launch as a guest of honor. The scene at the spaceport was unlike anything she had ever seen. Families, students, and retirees filled the viewing stands, their excitement palpable. Among the passengers was a school teacher from Nairobi, a nurse from Buenos Aires, and a baker from rural China. As the countdown began, Maya reflected on how far humanity had come. Just 2 decades earlier, space tourism had been the exclusive domain of billionaires. Now, people from all walks of life were preparing to touch the edge of the cosmos. The rocket lifted off with a roar, ascending into the sky. Maya watched the plume of fire and smoke until the Astra 1 disappeared into the stratosphere. Tears filled her eyes as the crowd erupted into cheers. When the passengers returned, their joy was infectious. One by one, they shared their experiences with the media. It was like floating in a dream, said the nurse. Seeing Earth from space changes you, the teacher added. It reminds you how small and precious we all are. Maya smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. The stars were finally within reach, not just for the privileged few, but for anyone bold enough to dream. Chapter 11. Toward the Red Planet. By 2060, humanity's eyes had shifted from the moon to Mars. The success of affordable Earth orbital and lunar tourism had sparked an even bolder question: could ordinary people visit other planets? Maya, now a leading voice in the global space movement, found herself at the center of the effort. Astralis had launched a program called Mars for the Many, with Maya as its chief architect. The goal was audacious: to build the first interplanetary tourist base on Mars and offer packages at prices comparable to luxury vacations on Earth. Mars tourism isn't just a fantasy anymore, Maya explained during a press conference in New Delhi. With the right infrastructure and enough public support, we can make it happen. The project faced immense challenges: journey time. Even with advanced propulsion, it would take months to reach Mars. Life support. Developing systems to keep tourists safe in the harsh Martian environment was daunting. Costs. A round trip to Mars still cost millions per person, far beyond reach for most. To solve these problems, Maya pushed for innovations: nuclear propulsion systems to cut travel time, automated cargo missions to pre-deploy habitats and supplies, hybrid funding models combining private investment and public subsidies to lower ticket prices. The first test group, scientists, engineers, and a handful of wealthy adventurers, departed in 2065. The journey was grueling, but they succeeded in establishing a basic outpost, Horizon Base, nestled in the shadow of Olympus Mons. When the mission returned, Their photos and stories captured the imagination of billions. Maya knew they were on the brink of something historic. Chapter 12. The First Martian Tourists. In 2072, the first civilian tourists set foot on Mars. The group of 20 included a mix of pioneers, a teacher from Japan, a journalist from Brazil, a retired mechanic from Canada, and a young student from Nigeria who had won an international essay contest. Maya watched from Earth as live feeds showed the tourists stepping onto the red, dusty plains. They marveled at the alien landscape, took selfies against the backdrop of ancient craters, and explored the pressurized biodomes of Horizon Base. One tourist, a grandmother from Indonesia, was asked why she had made the journey. She laughed. "I wanted to show my grandchildren that you're never too old to explore new horizons." The cost of a Mars trip, though still expensive at $500,000, was a fraction of what it had been just a decade earlier. Analysts predicted that by 2080, advancements in propulsion and automation could reduce prices to $100,000, bringing interplanetary travel within reach for many more people. As the tourists returned to Earth, they became ambassadors for a new era. The Mars effect, as it came to be called, inspired countless people to dream bigger, not just about space, but about life on Earth. Maya, now in her 70s, watched it all unfold with a mix of pride and wonder. She had spent her life fighting for this vision, and now it was real. One evening, while sitting on her porch and gazing at the stars, Rosa called her. "You did it, Hermana," Rosa said softly. "You gave people the stars." Maya smiled, her heart full. "Not just me, Rosa. It was all of us. And this is only the beginning." As she looked up at the night sky, Maya felt an overwhelming sense of hope. The universe was vast, and humanity had only just begun to explore it.